Have you ever wondered what happens when once busy international airports suddenly turn into ghost towns? Right now, Malaysia is facing a shocking aviation crisis that few saw coming. In 2025, major airports across the country, from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, kLIA, to Penang and Kota Kinabalu, are reporting eerily empty terminals. The cause? A mass exodus of foreign airlines that has led to more than 330,000 flight seats being wiped off Malaysia's aviation schedule, dealing a heavy blow to tourism, trade, and the country's international image. The most recent update shows that at least 20 international carriers have either suspended or drastically cut flights to Malaysia, citing weak demand, intense competition from regional hubs like Singapore and Bangkok, and rising operational costs. Among those pulling back are big names like Emirates, Lufthansa, and Qantas, who have either reduced their weekly frequencies or cancelled routes entirely. Even low-cost giants such as AirAsia are slashing long-haul services due to poor profitability. The hardest hit is kLIA, which used to handle nearly 60 million passengers a year before the pandemic. Despite hopes of a rebound in 2024, the airport now sees passenger numbers languishing at around 40% of pre-pandemic levels. In the past 3 months alone, Emirates suspended its second daily Dubai-Kuala Lumpur flight, Qatar Airways downgraded aircraft on the Doha route, and Singapore Airlines cut flights to Penang and Langkawi, key leisure destinations once filled with foreign tourists. According to data from Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, MAHB, the loss of 330,000 seats translates into a revenue shortfall of nearly RM1 billion, over $200 million, annually. These empty seats represent not just lost tourists, but also missing business travelers and cargo revenue. Tourism-dependent businesses, hotels, restaurants, duty-free shops, and transport operators, are already feeling the pain as occupancy rates and spending nosedive. So, why are airlines abandoning Malaysia? The first reason is that regional overcapacity is driving cutthroat competition in Southeast Asia. With strong hubs like Singapore Changi, Bangkok Suvarnabhumi, and even Ho Chi Minh City investing heavily in airport upgrades and airline incentives, Malaysia is struggling to keep up. Airlines prefer airports with better connectivity, modern amenities, and stronger transit passenger flows, areas where kLIA is falling behind. And secondos that Malaysia's political instability and economic uncertainty have rattled investor confidence. The recent weakening of the ringgit has made operating costs soar for foreign airlines, which typically pay airport fees, fuel, and catering in US dollars. Add to this the country's repeated changes in aviation tax policies, and many airlines simply find Malaysia a less attractive place to do business. And last reason is that Malaysia's tourism sector has failed to bounce back strongly compared to neighbors like Thailand and Indonesia. While other countries aggressively rolled out promotional campaigns, visa-free entry, and subsidies for airlines, Malaysia's efforts have been criticized as sluggish and inconsistent. International arrivals in 2025 are still down by over 35% from 2019 levels, with Chinese, Japanese, and Korean tourists, once Malaysia's top markets, showing particularly slow recovery. This sharp decline in airline services is also forcing Malaysians themselves to rethink travel plans. Many travelers heading to Europe, North America, or Australia now face fewer direct options, higher ticket prices, or inconvenient multi-stop itineraries. Business travelers are especially frustrated as connectivity, once a strong point for kLIA, deteriorates. The situation has become so alarming that Malaysia's Ministry of Transport held emergency meetings with key airlines last month, pleading for them to retain or restore routes. But many airlines are clear, unless Malaysia makes it easier and more profitable to operate, their planes will keep flying elsewhere. Aviation experts warn that if Malaysia doesn't act fast, the country could lose its status as a regional air hub altogether. Kuala Lumpur was once seen as a serious competitor to Singapore and Bangkok, but with empty terminals, shrinking route networks, and unhappy travelers, it risks becoming a second-tier airport unable to attract airlines and passengers. What's the government doing about it? Recently, Malaysia announced a Rm500 million aviation recovery plan, promising to subsidize airport fees, reduce fuel charges, and support joint marketing campaigns with airlines. However, industry insiders say this may be too little, too late. Airlines have already redeployed aircraft to more profitable routes elsewhere, and winning them back will require long-term commitments, not just temporary financial band-aids. Meanwhile, passengers who do land in Malaysia often report underwhelming airport experiences, with outdated terminals, long queues at immigration, and weak public transportation connections from airports to city centers. kLIA, once lauded for its sleek design, is now criticized for frequent power outages, broken aero bridges, and patchy Wi-Fi, issues that frustrate both airlines and travelers. Adding to the grim picture, some airlines that remain in Malaysia have downsized aircraft, shifting from wide-body jets like the Boeing 777 and Airbus A350 to smaller narrow-body planes, which offer fewer seats and cargo capacity. This shift directly contributes to the 330,000 lost seats, as even retained routes now move fewer passengers. Cargo operations are also taking a hit. With fewer wide-body planes flying in and out, Malaysia's exporters and importers are facing higher freight costs and slower delivery times, hurting businesses that rely on air cargo, from electronics manufacturers to fresh food suppliers. This crisis couldn't come at a worse time. Malaysia desperately needs foreign investment and tourism revenue to fuel economic growth and tackle rising unemployment. Yet, with airports emptying and foreign airlines retreating, the country's connectivity to the world is shrinking, undermining its ability to compete regionally and globally. Industry analysts argue that for Malaysia to reverse the trend, it must modernize airports, simplify immigration processes, stabilize its currency, and create a more airline-friendly regulatory environment. Without decisive action, the country risks entering a vicious cycle, fewer flights leading to fewer tourists, which further discourages airlines, creating even emptier airports. Passengers, too, can play a role. By choosing to fly routes that connect through Malaysian airports, they can help demonstrate demand to airlines. But realistically, unless Malaysia quickly fixes the root problems, poor airport facilities, political and economic instability, and uncompetitive tourism strategies, passengers will continue to avoid Malaysian airports in favor of neighboring countries with better connections and services. As Malaysia stands at this crossroads, the world watches. Can a country that once aimed to be a world-class aviation hub rebuild its reputation, or will its empty airports become the lasting symbol of missed opportunities? The urgent need for a national aviation strategy. Malaysia's aviation crisis is not just a temporary dip in passenger numbers or an unlucky coincidence of market forces, it's the result of years of complacency, underinvestment, and poor strategic planning. If Malaysia truly wants to reverse the emptying of its airports and the loss of over 330,000 seats, it needs a coherent, long-term national aviation strategy, not short-term fixes or piecemeal subsidies. A successful strategy must start with modernizing airport infrastructure, including overhauling outdated terminals, fixing persistent maintenance issues, and improving facilities for travelers and airlines alike. Reliable power systems, upgraded aero bridges, faster baggage handling, and seamless security checks are all critical to regaining airlines and passengers' confidence. Next, Malaysia must strengthen its aviation regulatory environment. Airlines need stability, clear, consistent tax policies, reasonable landing and parking fees, and incentives that reward them for basing aircraft or opening new routes. Unpredictable changes in fees, aviation taxes, or bureaucratic red tape only drive airlines to friendlier markets like Singapore, Thailand, or Indonesia. A robust tourism revival plan is also essential. Aggressive marketing campaigns, partnerships with airlines and travel agencies, and simplified visa rules, especially for key markets like China, India, and the Middle East, can bring millions of visitors back. Malaysia needs to restore its reputation as an exciting, welcoming, and value-for-money destination. Finally, collaboration between federal and state governments, airlines, airport operators, and tourism stakeholders must be prioritized. Without a united front, Malaysia will struggle to compete with neighboring hubs. The clock is ticking. Will Malaysia rise to the challenge, or will its once proud airports remain symbols of missed potential?